So you've been thinking about getting into real estate investing, but don't necessarily want to sign up for a mortgage and then own a property that you have to maintain and keep up with. Well, today we're going to be talking about a couple different options where you can get into real estate investing without actually owning the physical asset. Hey guys, welcome back to my channel, or if you're new here, welcome. My name is Rachel and this channel is all about personal finances, budgeting, and most importantly, paying off debt. The two things we're going to be talking about today is the Fundrise real estate investing platform and REITs, which stands for Real Estate Investment Trusts. So what I'm going to do is just basically go through the differences between the two options, and this is by no means a pros and cons list because what might be a pro for one person might be a con for someone else. So we are just merely comparing and contrasting here. So we'll start with the major fundamental difference between Fundrise versus REITs. So for Fundrise, it is a crowd-funded real estate investing platform. And what that means is they just pool all the investors' money together and can therefore purchase and invest in much larger investment properties. Whereas REITs, which again are real estate investment trusts, it's essentially a publicly traded stock option. So it's basically like buying real estate stocks, if you will. The next fundamental difference between Fundrise versus REITs is the liquidity. So for Fundrise, it is more of an illiquid asset. And in fact, the company does charge you a small redemption fee if you take your money out before a 5-year investment. So that is certainly something to be aware of. Whereas REITs, you can publicly trade and sell those at any time, just like you can stocks on the stock market. What I think is one of the benefits of Fundrise being more illiquid is that it really protects you from panic selling if the market takes a turn. If a whole bunch of investors at once decided to panic sell, it would force the company to essentially sell some of their real estate properties at maybe suboptimal conditions, and that would really hurt returns for investors across the whole platform. So Fundrise being a little more illiquid it's really geared toward people who understand that real estate investing is more of a long-term strategy, whereas REITs can be sold or traded at any time. So it is nice if you think you might need your cash in a more shorter time frame, but it also makes you a little bit more susceptible to panic selling. And the next difference I've alluded to a little bit, and that's that REITs tend to follow the stock market, so they can go up and down as the stock market goes up and down, so it makes it a little bit more volatile. Whereas Fundrise does not follow the stock market, so it can go up and down independent of what's going on with the stock market. So the next difference between Fundrise and REITs is that Fundrise is a lot more transparent than REITs. And what I mean by that is, in your Fundrise account, you can actually go in and look at the exact properties that your money is invested in and exactly what type of investment it is, whether it's a debt or equity build or a value add. You can see all of that in your Fundrise account. And I'm actually going to log into my account in just a minute and I'll show you guys exactly the level of transparency that you can get. Whereas REITs, you can see, I think for most of them, you can see the name of the company that your money is invested in, as in like I said, I think it's generally commercial properties. Don't quote me on that. I'm not too familiar just yet, but I'm getting there. So you can see the companies that your money is invested in, but you don't exactly see where the specific, like what specific buildings your money's invested in and what the investment type is. Like, are they fixing it up? Are they just in it for the equity? That kind of thing. So if you were more of a detail-oriented person, Fundrise definitely gives you a solid level of detail. And then the last difference that I have between the two is the advisory fees that are associated with Fundrise. You pay roughly around a 1% advisory fee for Fundrise to manage your portfolio for you, which if you were going to invest in physical real estate and you wanted to pay a property manager to manage your property for you, you're generally looking at about an 8 to 12% property management fee, depending on where in the country your property is located. So the 1% fee, in my opinion, is really not that big of a deal at all. But if that bothers you, REITs actually have no advisory fee associated with them. Again, they're just publicly traded stocks. So what I'm going to do now is log into both my Fundrise account and my M1 Finance account where I plan to invest in some REITs, and I'll show you guys the difference between those two platforms and what those look like online. Okay, so here we are in my Fundrise account, and we'll just start right at the top here. So far I have invested just over $3,100. My net returns to date are right here, $75.16. I just opened this account in September 2020, and I have chosen the long-term growth investment plan. There are a few different plans you can choose from. That's just the one that I chose to pick. And then right here on the left, you can see all of my returns. So far this year, I've earned $11.57 in dividends, but since September of 2020, I've earned a total of $20.11 in dividends, and appreciation $5.90 so far this year, and $55.76 overall. The advisory fees so far since I opened the account have only cost me 71 cents. So in my opinion, I think that's pretty doable. And as you can see over here on my historical account value, most of those dividends and appreciation came from having $2,000 or less invested in the account, which is pretty cool. I just added $1,000 in March, and so we'll see how that grows now that I've got a little bit more money in there. But I do have this right now set up to automatically deposit $125 a month. And if you scroll down a little bit, they provide you updates on the different properties that you're invested in. And so we'll take a little closer look at those. So you can go to your projects tab, and this is where you can see all the updates on your projects outlined. But you can also go up at the top, you can click on portfolio. And this is where you can see every single different project and the type of investment that Fundrise has with that particular property. So like you can see here, I'm currently invested in this property in Odessa, Florida, Georgetown, Texas, Lithonia, Georgia, Forney, Texas, Georgia, Florida. So it allows you to look at every single property that you are currently invested in. And we'll just pick this one. This is a value add strategy here. But you can click on these individually and you can get a lot more detail about each individual property. It even gives you a market analysis of where that property is located, the different investors in the property altogether, and the portion that is invested by Fundrise. And it gives you a little bit of a project timeline. This one last had an update January 14th. So I think that's pretty cool. I mean, you can see right on the map where your properties are located. I think that's really cool to be able to see that level of detail. And as you can see, I have 7 total pages of properties. You can also look at it over here on your kind of pie chart. It has it broken down into the number of projects that fit into each category. So I currently have 32 active projects in the value add category, 5 in the core plus, which I don't entirely know what that means, but I'll figure it out one day. But it's pretty cool. So all I did was I clicked on that core plus, and then I can click on each of the 5 active projects that are part of that core plus. So that's pretty cool. I don't know, it's just kind of fun to poke around in here. You can see all of the investments that you've made over time. Dividends reinvested, I do have mine set up that way. And then you have a performance tab, and you can see how everybody's doing. So it looks like this, for example, this first East Coast E-REIT is up and operating. We have a growth E-REIT up and operating, West Coast E-REIT up and operating, a growth E-REIT that's currently stabilizing, etc. So like I said, I think it's just pretty cool that you can log in and see exactly where all of your properties are located and exactly what the strategy is that Fundrise has for them. So like fixing them up, where they think they're in the path of opportunity, that kind of thing. So now we'll switch over to my M1 Finance account and take a look at some REITs. I don't actually have any money invested in this platform just yet because I just opened it, but let's go back to the home page. Okay, so this is what the home page kind of looks like. I do have a transaction that's currently processing in, so I should have some money in here soon. Overall, I think this M1 Finance platform is pretty cool. I do plan to move, I think, my emergency fund and all my other funds over here eventually, but that's not why we're here today. So today, let's see. So up here you can search for a particular stock. So I'm gonna type in REIT, and it looks like we have these 5 REITs available. Charles Schwab, WSR, Whitestone, Care Trust, I don't know, just pick this one. And for the most, so it does give you an overview of how the stock is performing. So that's, or excuse me, eREIT is performing. So that's pretty cool. But it doesn't really tell you, and maybe you could find out more information if you go to their website, but it doesn't really tell you where your actual properties are located. It looks like they give a quick description here. It just says nationwide portfolio with long-term leases and a growing portfolio of quality operations, pursuing both external and organic growth opportunities across the U.S. So it's just more broad stroke than the M1, or excuse me, than the Fundrise account, and that's totally fine. It's not like, you know, it's really all about what you're more comfortable with. And this Whitestone one doesn't really have much information at all. It looks like they do include some news articles about each of the different REITs, but not a whole lot of detail on these. But again, that might not bother some people. So that's really it for today's video. This is just really a broad scope overview of Fundrise versus eREIT investing. And of course, disclaimer, I'm no financial advisor. If you do want to make investments, I highly suggest you speak with your financial advisor and someone certainly a lot more qualified, but I just wanted to give a broad scope overview of the differences between the two. If you are thinking about getting into real estate investing but don't actually want to buy a physical asset. For me personally, I plan to continue investing in Fundrise, and I also am going to invest in some REITs one of these days. I like to keep a diversified portfolio, so I plan to do both. And I want to do sometime in the future an updated compare and contrast from Fundrise versus eREITs, just because I haven't been invested in Fundrise very long and I don't actually have any investments in eREITs yet. But someday when I do, I think it'll be fun to compare them and see how one's growing versus the other, versus the stock market. But honestly, I'll probably invest more heavily in Fundrise just because I enjoy real estate investing and I do plan on it being a long-term investment. I'm only going to put cash in there that I know I'm not going to need right away. So I feel very safe and comfortable about Fundrise and what it has to offer. If you think Fundrise might be something you're interested in, you can go ahead and use the link in the description box below and get your first 90 days of your advisory fees waived. So that's pretty cool. If you found this video helpful at all, please feel free to give it a thumbs up, and I will catch you guys in the next one. Bye.